Hey everybody, welcome to the PixelPlay podcast bonus edition. My name is Adam, CSRadical. That is Kaylan, aka Ktastrophy, Chris, aka Jen and Chris, and our good friend Liv from the Between2Gamers podcast. And we are here for one reason and one reason only. We have Horizon Forbidden West completed. Well, okay, 3 out of 4 of us are completed. Kaylan's here on a trial basis because, you know, dad can't finish games quickly.
Hey, you know what? You complain and you mock now, but when you're old and you're living on that old age security that my son is paying for with his taxes, you'll be thanking me.
I'm assuming I'm not living to get to that point, so we won't get too deep into that. But yeah, we have a review to do, which it doesn't happen very often here. It's very rare that a bunch of us will have the same game done at relatively almost the same time, because most of us, especially me and Kaylan, up until this point on the podcast, day one games aren't exactly something we usually play at launch, so we usually end up waiting like 6 months when they go on sale. Or Kaylan does them and I wait 6 months for them to go on sale, but
it's the gap between when I actually, like, the amount of time I get to play, by the time you start, I'm only halfway through, so we finish at the same time, but we start at different times.
But then, you know, there's
a good head start.
There's this Chris guy who's like, hey, we should console share, and now all of a sudden all these games are in my library. I'm like, well, I guess I have to play these on day one now, so okay.
And I can't hold myself back from buying a game on day one at all, no matter how big my backlog
yeah, even
gets.
with the 200 plus game backlog I gave you from when you started console sharing, because you didn't even have a PS4, so...
I have too many games. I don't even know why I'm here right now. I should be playing them.
Oh, don't worry. When we go back to the Saturday podcast, we can lament about your backlog some more. But for now, we have a really, really epic sequel to talk about. So Horizon Forbidden West, obviously everybody knows, sequel to Horizon Zero Dawn, which was a very well-received new IP from Sony, specifically on PlayStation 4. We now have Forbidden West. PS5 initially was the only platform, but because of COVID, they decided it would be best because of the shortage of consoles to push for PS4. Did anybody here play it on PS4, or are we all PS5? Okay, so just Kaylan.
So mine's a technical story. I'm a bit dumb. I bought the collector's edition, so I had to get the digital version, but I couldn't preload it. So I was dumb, and I accidentally preloaded the PS4 version on the PS5. So
nice.
I took the day off work too for that. I didn't get started playing till 3.
Oh.
And you just stuck with it.
Yeah.
Well,
no, I was like, it's this or nothing. I'm like, I took the day off for this, so I'm playing something. And it didn't run well.
Well,
oh no.
I mean, it was struggling. Like, it was struggling when I was playing it. I'm not gonna spend too much time on it, but yeah, like, I felt like the FPS was really bad, and like it just wasn't as crisp. Like, playing it on the PS5 with the PS5 version, I noticed the difference between the PS4 version I downloaded and the PS5 version. So
yeah,
there is a noticeable difference.
And I mean, we obviously noticed it too from the PS5 version that, like, we now have a pretty good sense of what AAA games are going to look like and run like on this console now.
Oh, yeah.
Not to mention Series X, similar to State. But Forbidden West, to me, at this point, given what I've played thus far, easily takes the cake of just the game that I think did the most attention to detail that I've seen in quite possibly ever. I mean, obviously, this is coming from a guy who can't get a hold of a 3090 because, you know, I don't have, A, the ability to beat scalpers, and B, the $3,000 that apparently I need for it, so that's a different story. But for what ran on PS5, 4K, I played mostly in resolution mode just because at points it's so beautiful that I didn't even notice that I was playing in 30 frames. There were times where you do, because when it gets really intensive, especially when you have like multiple enemies on screen, you kind of like having the performance mode on just to be able to have a little more fluency when you're really dodging all over the place. But like, you throw me out just running around opening treasure chests and clearing the map, it was always resolution mode, because every time you would stop and just stare at I guess for lack of a better word, horizon in front of you, you know, there's so much to like about it. You know, the mountains in the distance looking the way they do. Just the way, like, little things, like every time you walk through a bush, individual strands of the grass are actually moving with you. You walk through sand, and depending on how fast you're moving, it either leaves footprints or drags a track with you. Like, just little things like that I think kind of stood out that make us go, okay, this is at least the bar now. Now people got to start trying to top that. Obviously, we'll see with other games like Ragnarok soon, but for now, like, to me, at least on PS5 and consoles in general, PC can always beat that, but on console, I think this is the benchmark currently.
Absolutely.
Oh, easily.
But did you use photo mode with all of those? Oh, the leaves look so nice and the sand and how the water looks. Did you use photo mode on them?
I mean, I did it like 3 times.
That's it!
3?
Yeah.
Oh my god, I have like 300 photos that I took in photo mode.
Yeah, it took me 77 hours to like platinum this game, and maybe half is pictures.
As I have seen from the gallery that you have posted, just completely unprompted.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I'm not complaining. But, I mean, look, like, photo modes for me personally is just a matter of, like, I would rather just keep playing, and most of the time, like, I never find myself in a stop moment, so I'm usually good for it. But, I mean, like, I've seen some of the stuff that people have made, like, Live included, but I've seen, like, a lot of some, like, really creative content that people have designed with that. Just like getting perfect positioning and all that jazz. They did a fantastic job, and it just keeps showing, like, it seems like such a random thing to put in a lot of games, but it almost seems like any game now needs a photo mode because there's so much you can do with it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I completely agree with that. Photo mode. It's just like you're running your Aloy and you see the sunset and it's just hitting like the beach or something at a certain angle and you're like, nope. And you can't even, like, whatever mission you're on, you stop, photo mode, get the angle, get Aloy to like lay down, cross her arms or something on the beach, and boom, you get that photo.
Or you're specifically like, okay, the sun, if it was just slightly over, so you move the time just a little bit to line
you can move it. Her facial expression, her pose, the sun. Yeah. Best photo mode there is.
I still think the best picture that you put up was the one where Aloy's face is like coming out of underwater like she's a fucking Navy SEAL.
Oh, that was intense. That is a good one, yeah.
Either like that's the kind of shit that I like, so I do appreciate that. But yeah, like in terms of like how it ran, like I can't complain. You know, even the 30 frames per second mode for resolution, I thought was very solid. I don't feel like I ever lost frames, so I felt like even in the most intense battles, if I forgot to turn it off, I almost didn't notice. But like when you do play for 60 frames right after it, you obviously do notice the difference. It's a lot more crisp and fluent, but like. And even then, you're not sacrificing too much graphically. Like, it's not that noticeable. So it really is just a matter of, like, you put it on just to get, like, the extra little bit of clarity that you see in resolution. But for the most part, like, this is also probably, like, the best 60 frames performance mode we've seen in a game, too.
Yeah. And, yeah. Go ahead, Kaylan.
I was just going to say, like, I started out because I'd played Ratchet and Clank, and I ended up playing it on the. No, I was playing Guardians of the Galaxy, and I played that on the performance mode because like that game definitely needs to have the performance mode on. So I was like, okay, I have to stick with this, and I was playing Horizon on the 60 FPS, and then you were like, try it on the 4K, and it is jarring when you first switch from 60 FPS to the resolution. It is jarring, but I'm now playing almost exclusively on resolution. I'm not switching back and forth. I don't have time for that. But I'm playing on the resolution, and I don't even notice now the difference. But you can notice it in the transitions. Both are great, but there is that difference that you notice when you're playing it that way. But for the most part, no.
And that's kind of the testament, right? Is that like very few games have that ability because more often than not, if you give us the 2 modes, you're taking the 60 frame.
But yeah, I'm there. I like the resolution. I'm really like 30, 60 frames. I'm not gonna know. I'm really not. I'm there because I stop too much. Take some pictures, pick up some items, I find a collectible. So I don't need to pick up a piece of paper in 60 frames. It's fine.
Liv, your game doesn't get a chance to have 60 frames because you stop every 40.
You know what? Like that could be true.
But like
I ran at 10 frames per second.
I tried God of War when I got that for the first time in both modes, and like immediately I was like, no, you can't. It looks prettier, but no, I can't do it. Horizon, for whatever reason, maybe because a lot of it is just bow shooting for a good chunk of it. It's fine because you don't need the necessary frame jumps. You don't need that double frame rate to really help with the fluidity there because you're sniping. Now, if you're in the middle of a crazy battle where you're dodge rolling left and right, 60 does help, but
yeah,
even then, like I did most of the game in resolution and I didn't feel like I was being kneecapped. I didn't feel like I was like missing timing on stuff. I didn't feel like it was getting too jarring. The only thing I would complain about in terms of like short or not like close quarters combat would just be the camera sometimes is a little bit hard to follow because sometimes if you get stuck against a wall and you're getting tackled by something, like the camera just doesn't know what to do with you. So there's that, but that's like any time you play a third-person game. If you are right between something and an enemy, it's really hard for the camera to figure out where it wants to be, because it's either that or it's in the rock cliff, and that doesn't really help your sight lines. Then you just get into Final Fantasy 15 territory where you're in a bush and you can't see what you're doing. So
I was waiting for a JRPG reference.
Well, it wasn't a positive one, so yeah, I guess actually that probably is the more likely JRPG reference that we'll see in this show. But I mean,
I'm with you. For me, I was playing it and I noticed that when I was, sometimes we get into close quarter combat, but like close quarter combat sucks. So I just avoided it at all costs. But I noticed it too as well with some of the more airborne and mobile enemies, that it's like hard to kind of track where they're going, especially if you're playing and you're like fighting a songbird, or what's the bigger bird called? Sunwing?
The Sunwing, the Dreadwing. There's so many wings.
Yeah, so like those big birds, when they start flying and they're starting to attack, like I found that was hard to kind of sometimes track and keep track. And I would oftentimes like I'd lose sight, and I'm like, I have no idea where they are, and it's hard to find them. And then, oh look, they found me, and they just attack. So like I felt a couple times the camera did some kind of dumb stuff where like I kind of like, okay, I'm running away from this, monster, and I'm kind of trying to keep my line of sight with them, and I end up getting stuck in like a rock cave or something like that, and then I can't get out of the way, and they come and attack me and get me in a corner. A couple times the camera, I felt like I was fighting against it, but it's not drastically offensive.
No, I wouldn't say that there's like, it's not like a lot of games that we see where they come out and the camera just is a mess and you can barely see what's going on. Like, no, I wouldn't say it was that case. It's like any other open world game where eventually you're just going to get into a weird position where it doesn't know what to do with you.
Yeah, it happens. And yeah, when it comes to third-person action games, you can't avoid it. It's going to happen here or there.
It also doesn't help, too, that we are, again, working with a situation where, like, you are either shooting, trapping, or doing close-quarter combat, so you're going to have little variations in everything. And not to mention, there are kind of monsters in this game that range from, like giant, like, sort of giant ferret size to, Jesus, that's a T-Rex. So sometimes...
I thought you were going to say baby.
Well, there isn't really a baby. There isn't really a baby
the
ferret thing.
The burrows are small.
Yeah, and they're still bigger than us. So
small.
Just small little babies.
It's SMOL, but with caps and at least 2 exclamation marks. So
yeah, I'll agree.
Yeah, I'll take it.
So speaking of the enemy types, what stood out for you guys? Like, what did you like? What did you hate? Because like for me, I would never get tired of burrowers because I always like just having the quick target practice. Like, it's always the best enemy when you pop back into the game after a day to just quickly refresh yourself. But then there were certain enemies, like the monkeys were pretty bad. Anything flying, like we said earlier, were pretty rough because if you don't get them early, they are absolutely pains in the ass to take care of. And then...
Isn't that the point of them?
Yeah. And then at the end, there was also the kangaroo type, which only because, like, in the early game, I had so much trouble dealing with the weaknesses. Because, again, I am a filthy casual, and I don't care about all the specific different weapons they have. I don't care if a rope caster or all these other things help. I just want to shoot and slice. That's all I want.
No, I like the leap lasher kangaroos. I like that they tried to go for different animals that weren't in the first game. So you saw more, like, agile animals. Not everything was just, like, a horse galloping or charging at you. You had things that were jumping and twirling and flying through the air. I mean, there was a couple birds in the first game, but I think that the new enemies show you the capability for future games on the PS5, being one of their first bigger launches. So I think that's exciting. But I think they did a good job with diversifying other animals that you would see elsewhere.
Oh, absolutely. I would definitely say that my favorite is the like this. I loved always like the huge ones where it's like, all right, this is going to be a bit of a battle and I'm going to be here a while. So the like the elephant or mammoth or whatever it's supposed to be, I always loved. Yeah, and like you get that nice slow motion shot with the bow and you take off one of its tusks or something and that blows off in slow motion, but the thing's still going.
Anytime a Thunderjaws shows up in the map, I'm like, all right, time to have fun for 5 minutes.
I'm dropping down into this. Let's do it.
It's basically hide in bush, knock one piece off, slide around the map for 5 minutes until it gives up on you, take another piece off, slide around for 5 minutes.
See, I just bumped down the difficulty. I'm one of those.
Oh, I played in story mode the entire way through because I don't care. So.
Oh, I always try everything in normal mode and then I bump it down accordingly.
Well, for me,
I'm there for a mild challenge, but then if you're frustrating me, I'm there for the story.
Well, I tried originally with Zero Dawn to play in normal, and I got really frustrated because, again, as I said before, I don't like Horizon's way of being like every enemy has a specific way to take it down. And I found that a lot of the times I would fight enemies, and this is very early on in Horizon Zero Dawn where I actually liked it, where it was taking way too long to kill like a couple of like very low tier enemies, like the wolf level enemies. And it was getting annoying to me. And I don't think at that time story mode existed. I think in the early stages of Zero Dawn, it didn't have a story mode. I think it was just normal and hard. I don't know if there was even easy at that point.
I'm going to pick on you a little bit because you're making the game harder for yourself. Why? Why would you use normal arrows against something that you could know?
Oh, no, I'm not talking like the arrow type. I'm talking things like you need to specifically, like there were the bellowbacks or something like, it was the bellowbacks where they're like, oh, you should use a trap on this guy. And then take all their pieces out and then do that. And then be like, all right, cool. Put the trap down. Boom, hits them. I'm like, okay, cool. Now I got to take this piece out. And after all of that, I've chunked like 25% of their health away. I'm like, game, I did what you asked. And I'm still like, now I'm down to slashing and just going to be spending 3 minutes judging with the camera. So.
See, for me, that's what I like about this game. Like I've been playing it exclusively on normal, and I'm not using the elemental types too much. Like I do more of the reaction stuff. So how it works is like you could either they have ones they're weak against, but then they also have elements that they have. So like if you hit like an acid bellowback with acid, then that triggers an acid explosion. And so for me, I like that aspect, and I'm actually playing with basically the sharpshooting bow, and I'm just running around and just doing the pot shots on the weak spots of the enemies, and that's the aspect I love. So from going back to your original question, the enemies that I really liked, I liked fighting the Claw Striders because I felt that they were fast and kind of nimble, and it was kind of fun taking them out and trying to get those shots in on them, or doing something like a Thunderjaw where you can strip out parts and like change how they fight and then use those weapons against them. I really like it. Alternatively, like I hated the turtles. I don't know what the hell they're called. But I didn't like those ones because I felt like there wasn't a lot of, like they had the shell on top of them. And so you had to spend so much time and get rid of it before you had options on how to tackle it.
Oh, the shell walkers, you mean?
Yeah, the shell walkers.
Yeah.
I hate those ones because they're just, I find those are what you're talking about, where it's just those bullet sponge enemies and like you have to spend so much to get the shell off of them in the first place. And then they're open up to weakness. And it's just, I hated those ones. But yeah. I like the components, and especially with the PS5, like you're able to actually see those components and differentiate them, and like, okay, I'm gonna like strip this part off and go after this part and use this weapon on that one. It takes a little while for it to hit its stride in that sense because you do have to take time to get all those weapons and get those bows and those weapons that have different elemental damages. But once you start getting to like the blue and the purple level weapons, that's when you start getting like, hey, this one does this and this. And then your weapon wheel gets a little bit more diversified. You start having like 12 to 16 different items versus just 6. Trap sucks. I never use traps.
No.
I never did either.
No. Bows and that's it.
I like the blast sling. That was my favorite weapon.
Yeah, the blast slings are fun.
I like that. Then what they did for the weapons in this game where you could change, like, do you want to triple notch it, double notch it, or for the blast sling, I always did the sticky ones. So I was like, I'll just get the bombs and then they'll run off and maybe explode soon. It rewards you for aiming at the enemy.
Yeah.
They definitely did a lot to try to differentiate things. They didn't just make it as simple like this is a one-purpose tool. Like now you have, especially with some of the abilities you can unlock through the skill trees, it definitely gives you a little more variation. Now, did a lot of us use a lot of these extra skills? Because I tended not to go too far into by the time I cleared the game, I think I cleared like 4 out of the 6 skill trees, and I didn't find myself like using a lot of the stuff that they unlocked. It was mostly like the stat boosts and things that I was concerned with.
For the bows, I really. Oh, sorry, you go.
No, I was gonna say I didn't use I use a little bit, like I'm using a lot of stuff that's open up early on in the game. So my priority was on stealth and hunting. And so for me, I initially went like the first one you get, I think, is like where you just do extra damage and terror on animals, and that's basically been my crutch for the entire time. I haven't used anything else. And then in terms of like the extra shots on the bows, I don't use those a lot as well because one, they consume a lot of resources to do. The only one I really use is I use the one where I can do like the arching like volley, and I've done that with fire arrows a couple times on like groups of human enemies. But I don't find that I'm using a lot of the extra bonuses that come with the weapons a lot. I'm primarily using like the first thing that I got that I unlocked and then just went with that.
I would say I'm the opposite from that because I like doing the triple notch arrows because like I'm really bad at aiming. So if I get into like the concentration mode, I'm like, one of these 3 arrows are probably going to hit the thing. And then the blast sling, I liked that. The bouncing bomb, I tested that out because, you know, I'm pretty bad. But then I was like, if I get really good with this one weapon, it will just like explode. But my favorite weapon, the new weapon, was the javelin, the prototype. I put all of my explosive like things into that. So I think at where I am right now, I think my javelin does like almost over 300 like explosive damage because I like found like I just stacked all the explosive things. I like upgraded it, so I have like 3 coil slots for the explosives, and you could do like it splits off into 3 different javelins and just kill things left and right. But the one new weapon I did not like at all is the shredder, where you have to catch
the sling.
Yeah, you like throw a ball and then it comes back to you. You have to catch it.
Yeah, there's that one side mission where they try to introduce it to you, and like I used it in that mission and went, this is not effective enough. A bow is just so much better, and you're in cover and you can hide. Like, why would I use this?
Yeah.
It does do a lot of damage if you... It's really long range. I had to go on Reddit and ask people, how the hell do I use this? And because I wanted to get all the trophies, so I needed to know how to use this for the hunting trial that's out west. So they're like, get really far away and just keep moving left or right and the thing will come back to you. But then if an enemy knocks you down, you don't get that stacking bonus for on the 3rd throw and catch, it explodes. I found that really difficult to use, but people that are really good at combat, they really like it.
Yeah, I suck at video games, so it makes sense that I wouldn't like it that much.
Yeah, I definitely only used that one for the trophy in the hunting challenge. And that I was stuck there for a little while. Because it was like, well, you have to use the same one to destroy this one enemy, I think. And I'd throw it, and then it would like come back, but like way to the left or way to the right. And I'm like, I don't understand what I'm doing wrong. It shouldn't be that hard. And I also went online, I think I was on Reddit, and yeah, you got to stand way back. So you got way more ranged than you'd think that you'd need to use it for. And then after I finished that, I was like, I will never equip that again ever in my life. I'm out. Bye.
Now, to go with the other way with armor, did you guys feel that the tweaks that they did to the armor, like specifically the big one was just being able to change the color, which I think was a nice little addition, but like for the most part, I don't feel like they did anything too expansive with that. It just felt the same for the most part. I do like the designs in this a little more than Zero Dawn, although I would have liked if some of the original Zero Dawn ones also got the purple and legendary treatment, because I felt like by the time you get to the end of the game, most of the armors that are left to you that are actually like the high stats sometimes aren't the ones you're looking for, so you kind of were just forced to use like the purple one that was like the best for you.
Yeah, I think design-wise, they did a really good job of like differentiating, like, oh, like these tribes use this one, and that is the biggest upgrade for like, we'll probably talk about NPCs and like the environment, but I really like that each settlement felt different, and I felt like they expressed that through clothing a lot better. But what I missed so badly from the first game was that if you found all those power cells for the ancient armor, you had that shield.
Yeah,
so
there was kind of no like special armor in this one.
Yeah, so for Valor Surges, I chose the one that gives you the the shield, because I really missed that from the first game. So with all the Valor Surges that they added, I didn't really find myself... That was the only skill, really, where I didn't switch out and experiment more, because I was like, I need the shield. Like, I'm bad. I need extra protection. Please help me.
There's also a point, too, where, like, you'll get... towards the end of the game, without spoiling anything, you'll be given a set of armor, and by the time you get that set of armor, you already have something way better. So you're given this thing, and you're like, I feel like this is important, but it sucks compared to what I have. And I think
the armor...
well, I guess it's an open world game problem in general, Because like if you go off in side quests, you're gonna find way better stuff before the story gets to it. But
yeah, I was gonna say my favorite armor that I did was from completing all of the salvage contracts. That's the one I ended up rocking and just upgrading the most. And then for a while I was rocking the one I chose to do the arena and use I put it on the story difficulty and got all of my like the weapons and stuff. But the one with the Vanquisher, I think it had like the horns.
Mm-hmm.
That I rocked that for a while until I finished the salvage contracts.
Yeah, I definitely found myself like I would see some armor that didn't look as nice but had better stats, and I was like, I wanna
it
do
sucks
that,
too because a
and
lot
I'd
of the
stick
armor
with
is
it.
like geared to specific playstyles. So if you like the look of it, but it's like a trap armor, you don't want it.
You have like the really nice purple one from the arena that was on all the trailers. I bought it, and then I was like, ooh, photo mode time. Switch her outfit, take pictures, switch back to go keep playing.
Yeah, that's commitment. That's commitment right there to photo mode.
It's an art. It's an art.
Costume change.
Yeah.
Costume change.
Aloy, scene change. Okay, lay down in the sand. We're going to take pictures. Pictures. Head this way, Aloy.
Yeah, I'm with you. Like, I wasn't inspired. Like, I got one of the, because I got the collector's edition. I got one of the bonus ones, and I forget what it was. Like, I like the Desert Clan ones, like the red and black ones, and I'm currently rocking one of those ones right now. And I like the fact that you can change colors. But something that's always bugged me, and I feel like Assassin's Creed Odyssey did this really well. It's like I kind of wish that you could like, hey, I'm gonna take the stats of this one because I want this one, but I want the aesthetics of this one. And this is something that's always kind of bugged me with open world games, is like choosing between that aesthetic and, you know, skills aspect. And that's like something that I'm gonna bring in another game, like that always bugged me was like The Witcher, right? So The Witcher 3, you had that awesome like chainmail armor that you like was in all the promo stuff for Geralt. And then it's like the first starting armor and it's the crappiest one, and like you upgrade it. And I'm like, I just want to look like that. And that was something I found with this game, is like there's some cool ones, but I'm like, oh, this is all focused on like melee. And I'm like, I don't do melee. This is garbage to me. Like
it would even be like a trade-off if we would be like, okay, here's the helmet, here's the chest piece, here's the gauntlets, here's the legs. Like if they could at least like pick and choose what you want. So like if the trap chest piece is the coolest looking one, you can put that on and then just completely do whatever you want for the other three pieces to balance out the stats. That would have been an option otherwise. So like the fact that you're limited to, you have to wear this specific piece, like the entire set, but the boosts aren't what you want. Like you have to, like even with the coils, if you max them out, it's not enough to offset if you don't have the stats on it you want. So that would be one of my biggest complaints still in most open world games too, where, yeah, like you said earlier with Witcher and others, is that you almost feel like you don't pick the armor that looks the best on you so much as you pick the one that's going to give you the best chance of like OPing something.
Or you just balance it between the two. Like, this one sucks, but it kind of looks kind of cool, so I'll take that.
Yeah, you try to find a middle ground, but generally speaking, like you're picking, at least in Horizon, you're picking the one that suits you the best. And for me, it was the one that got me the most melee damage, because I was already fine just sniping on my own. I needed a melee armor so that if I got in trouble, I wouldn't have to deal as bad.
I wish there was also more colors. Like the fact that armor sets only had like 1 or 2 colors per set. It was like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
I do appreciate that they carried over from one of the updates in the Horizon Zero Dawn game, is that you could remove the headgear, because I hate the head piece kind of tiara crown or whatever the heck it is, like the head. I hate it. Liv, I know you love it, but I hated it. Like I always felt it looked dumb.
Depends on the angle of the sun. Like, is it too bright in the desert? She might need a little hat.
Now here's the true question: did anybody even use face paint ever on her?
Only
I did. I've got Nora.
Well, that's what I mean. Like not counting photo mode.
No.
Oh, my Aloy's rocking the Nora Hunter.
Okay, because I always I tried so many different times to be like, all right, here's a different couple of face paints I haven't seen before. Let's try all of these, and every single time I'd be like, I don't think any face paint looks good on her because I don't think it suits.
But do you know about the secret one that you can find in the game? That's an Easter egg for a PlayStation exclusive.
Maybe not.
I don't know this one.
Okay, I haven't done it, but I know where to do it. So if you notice on your collectibles page, it will say unknown, and there's 3 unknown collectibles. They are war totems, and they're God of War Easter eggs. So you get the Kratos.
Ah,
that's a little easier for you.
It would still look weird, but yes. That's still kind of cool.
I mean, if I was gonna do one, that's the one I'd do.
I guess the inevitable problem is that like you associate Aloy so much with Elizabeth Sobek that it feels weird taking face paint and like almost making her not look like Elizabeth, which is I guess kind of strange in a way too.
Aloy certainly does. Aloy certainly does.
I know she does. I don't think of her when I think of Elizabeth Sobek. I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. I forgot you're here.
You don't think of the lore? Are you just there to kill things?
Here to kill. I am here to live to be a cave woman fighting robot dinosaurs. I am a simple man with simple taste.
Aloy is so not like that. She's not like the other tribal people. She is intelligent. She is ahead of her time. She's here to save the planet.
Yes, here, Liv calling everybody else in Horizon absolutely idiotic. Okay, cool.
Yes. Well, except the people she picks up on the way.
Yeah, so basically like 99.99999% of Horizon is just filled with dumb fucks.
It's
yeah,
and then there's like 6 smart ones, and then there's silence.
Can we talk about like characters and NPCs now?
Sure. I think I know where you're going, so let's get your rant out of the way. Tell us about how much you hate the NPCs.
I hate the NPCs in this character.
I hate you too.
There is very few, if any, that I actually like enjoy talking to. Like some of them are kind of cool. Like the guys in Vegas are somewhat okay. Like they're
you don't even know their names.
No, I don't need to.
They're people.
But like the people at the camp are like, and once again, I haven't finished the story yet, but nobody is like interesting to talk to. Like like the one cool guy is like that old like grizzled warrior who just doesn't want to talk, and I'm like, I get you, sir. I can respect your modus operandi. Like,
all right, we gotta talk about this. We have to go through every NPC in this game and go why you don't like them.
I mean, for real. Absolute bullshit that Vashav goes down in 5 minutes, but the fucking scroll guy, fuck him.
Like, it's just one of those things. Like, a lot of the characters just over talk, and the dialogue in this game is not the best. I'm not gonna say it's atrocious, but it is not well done. Like, there is way too much dialogue in this game. And I understand there's a certain aspect of like lore, but like it's either you are all into the lore or you are not at all. Like there is not a.
But why are you here? Why are you playing it? Like if you don't care
about
robot
dinosaurs live. We talked about this.
I'm so distressed.
So like I don't want to know every character's opinion on every single thing. So like you go to the home base and it's like, all right, like hey, talk to me about the squad. And it's not like hey, here's a summary on the squad. It's here's what Aaron's doing. Here's what like other characters, I forget their names, like the Utaro girl, here's what she's doing, here's what like this guy's doing. I'm like, just give me a synopsis. I don't need to know everyone's opinion of everyone. This is not like a high school drama like click aspect.
I want to know Katalo's favorite color. I want to know his favorite meal. I want him to ask me about my day.
Katalo isn't going to tell you those things because he doesn't think it's worth the time.
No, he's the only one.
The only good one.
He works up to you. Aloy
because that makes him less endearing to me now.
I don't know who is a bigger tsundere in that game, Katalo or Beta. It's really hard to tell.
Like, and that's the thing. And then you get like other characters join. You're just like, oh my god, like I don't care anymore. Like I want to know what's happening. Like I want the story, but there is way too much drama and lore put in this that like you are either way too invested in this or you are not at all. And I find that like it could have done with a little bit more concise writing. From that perspective,
don't click on all the options. That's on you. Don't click on. There's like ask these 8 things. Click on the one that you care. Go to the next one, and the rest of us will click all through all 8 of them. Do not take this away from me.
And I'm gonna kind of add this in there too. Like the other problem I have with this is the voice acting in this game. Like I find the voice acting is. Like it's not interesting. Like I find the character animations, it gives off a very high school-esque drama show. Like this, it seems like something you'd see in like a high school drama where like everyone's talking and like over exaggerating when they talk. And I know the irony because I talk a lot with my hands, but it's just like, hey, did you see the dinosaur walking across? And for those of you on like,
yes, I did. I did see like, them
very
walking.
Dramatic.
So apparently Kaylan thinks all the NPCs in the game are Twitch streamers.
Pretty much, yeah. Like it's just. No one talks like that. No one like uses that many hand gestures when they're talking to people. Like it's over the top and it just breaks it up. Like it broke it for me a bit. And at the same time, I also had an issue with like the voice acting, like just the way it is. Like, there's not a lot. It's not well done. It's not to say it's bad, but it seems jarring.
Okay,
like, the characters
who do you
are
hate the
designed great.
most? Who do you hate the most? We got to get this out of the way. Who do you hate the most?
I think Aaron. Aaron just became a cartoon character. He did. Like, he just became a bumbling cartoon. Like, he just drinks and plays chess, and it's like, okay.
That's
like,
why he's so good.
That's who I want to be.
The other character. Who's the other Nor that you're with?
What, Varl?
Varl, he's annoying too. They're all annoying.
Like my favorite side character. Just immediately put down. He's no longer cool.
And you guys go ahead and
I love Katalo, and if you've seen any of my TikToks or clips or photo mode pictures, you probably think I'm a straight woman, and I promise you I'm not. But I love him.
Is Katalo I think Katalo's the guy that I like. He's the one that doesn't talk, right?
He'll be like, go away, or Aloy, I'm busy. Like, that's his whole conversation.
But then they warm up, and then Aloy and him are like, I ship them. And that is so straight of me to say, and I can't believe I feel that way. But I do. I love him.
I like him too, because I go to him and be like, hey, what's up? He's like, nothing. I'm like, great.
No, I want to know more
about him. So how are you getting along with everybody? I don't talk to them. You're like...
It's like, hey, Kataro, how do you feel about...
Wait, can I sleep in this room?
No, like, you go to talk to me, like, hey, what do you think of the other characters? Like, fucking hate him. Me too, bro. Let's keep it that way.
I also like Moreland from the Vegas mission, the guy that's like really excited about doing the delve, and how animated Aloy is with him.
One friend that just doesn't want to fucking be there.
Yeah, he's like, we're all gonna die. Aloy, you're enabling this. And she's like, someone else is really innovative and wants to do things. I was like, Moreland, I love you too.
Yeah, no, he's trying to be like, I don't want to die. Aloy's like, yes, but we have to push the plot. Get the fuck out of my way.
Get the fuck out of my way.
I like those guys. Those guys were cool, but once again, they didn't overstay their welcome.
I think when it comes to me, like, Kaylan hasn't gotten to this point yet, but the person that you meet through Demeter, Alva, I think is like my favorite addition to it. Because she, like, especially, she is so, like, over hyper that it actually, like, makes her stand out when everybody else either has no fucking clue what's happening in front of them. Because they're all like, what is all this sorcery that I'm seeing now? And it's just on this, like, one little friggin' earring that they're wearing. But, you know, like she's sitting there, she brings a pep in everybody's step, whereas Katalo's like, and you're like, okay, I'm backing away, Katalo, it's fine.
He'll warm up.
Zoe just gets mad at you for every 5 seconds because you said something mean about her land gods that she didn't like. Varl's just trying really hard not to, you know, make it very obvious that there's a crap ton of sexual tension in the room. And Aaron's just trying really hard to understand what the fuck is happening.
I almost enjoyed Varl's sexual tension more than the entire plot of the entire game. All of that.
The only thing that would have made his conversations better if that in the corner of the screen you just see Zoe from like behind the counter just watching him, making sure he doesn't say something, because it seems like that's all that's happening.
Yeah.
He's afraid that mommy's watching him.
Yeah. I do have there was one issue, because Varl at the beginning of the game had that like sick beard when he first showed up, like right in the very first mission. And then Aloy's like, ew, what's up with the beard? Like, you're going to get rid of that, right? That's the only point in the entire game where I went, fuck you, Aloy. What'd you just do?
Yeah.
Like,
hell, Aloy.
Look at his epic beard. Look at it. It was so epic.
Jeez, Aloy, why don't we just shave his head too, and we might as well have 2 Sylens in the room.
Okay, also, I love Sylens.
Yeah, Sylens is... I can't say bad things about Lance Reddick, so...
Yeah.
I mean, other than that, though, like... I kind of see where Kaylan is, though, at least with the animations. I personally do like them because as a person who has trouble having eye contact with people, I associate with that so fucking hard. But, like, the fact that normally, like, you take Skyrim, for example, and it's deadpan staring at you dead in the face, and all that's moving is their mouth. Whereas in this, is it maybe a bit of an overreach for that? Sure, but I'll take the overreach rather than fuck all, so... That's kind of my thing. And because in some cases, especially at first, it does look natural because, yes, when people talk, you do tend to look at other things because you see motion. You do gravitate to something. You do often, you know, direct your hand at something to talk. And if you're I can't remember the girl's name in like Chain Scrape. That's from the first game.
Petra.
Thank you. She always looks like she's
you.
about ready to like cock her fist and pop somebody. So that always makes sense too. I think with NPCs is where they kind of overplayed their hand. I think with most of your like actual name characters that have meaning, I think for the most part they did a good job with them. But like random X character in some village that you're only going to spend 10 seconds in, and here they are doing a magic trick with their hands. It's like, okay, dude, settle down. I'm just about to save your people. Chill.
Yeah. I just like the analogy that you said, like the choices are between like stiffness of Skyrim or wackily inflatable arm flailing man Horizon Forbidden West. And you're making the analogy of like, do you want to eat raw chicken or burnt chicken? And both aren't great choices. And I'm like,
but the difference is Skyrim's deadpanning is the extreme. Horizon's extreme is like slightly above what we normally see. I don't think it's that far gone.
Yeah, it's just slightly. It's like actors acting instead of just
there's some
people
times
existing.
where it gets like uncanny, where it gets to like high school drama class level acting, but it's not everywhere.
I think, and this is something that I've seen like the community talk about as well, is that like everyone in that sounds like they're from like tech startups in like 2022, as opposed to like someone living like in a nomadic tribal situation. Like Katala is like the only one who actually sounds like he lives in this actual world. Varl sounds like he's gonna order like a Starbucks order
with his sick beard
that he doesn't have anymore.
I know, stupid beard, gone.
Any last thoughts, or are we just gonna all shame Kaylan?
Kaylan has some points. Kaylan has some points.
I could sit here and argue about all the characters and rank them in a tier, but I don't need to argue with Kaylan. I could respect our differences and be friends.
Even though they're wrong, right?
Well, duh. But women are always right. Come on.
And I mean, we'll obviously get into more when we get into spoiler territory once we have to give Kaylan the boot anyway, and then we can just talk endless shit about how like Katala is the greatest, Varl's the greatest, Zoe's the greatest. We'll just go endlessly for like half an hour after he's gone. But I mean, for the most part, I guess the other thing, Kaylan has told us that he has at least gotten to 2 of the 3 AI that you have to collect. So you are in like an early stage with like villains. So like at this point, it's mostly like Silence and Regala that you've been kind of exposed to. What are your thoughts so far on those 2?
I like the Regala aspect. I like the idea of someone else coming in and taking the machines and like, hey, if you had control of machines, and like, yeah, I could definitely see someone taking advantage of and using it. The Silence and like the whole Varro stuff. I hate the space stuff. Like, it hasn't been like explored enough yet, and I guess we're getting into spoiler territory, so I'm going to probably be bouncing soon. But from what I know, like you've got these like Varros coming back from space, and they've been alive for like thousands of years. Like, I get that this is a video game about robots in a future. I get all that, but like there was an air of like possibility, and like, okay, this is like science fiction, but like now you've got space-faring like immortals coming to Earth. It's like, this kind of seems dumb. So I want to see how that plays out, but for now, like that aspect doesn't really appeal to me. It just seems like it doesn't fit with the rest of the aesthetic and the rest of the feel of this game. So I'm excited to hear after I log off what your thoughts are on this. But I like Regala. I like the idea of someone like, hey, if we've got this power with the machines holding a grudge against like the Karja and the Osram and like wanting to get revenge. Totally, that makes total sense in a prehistoric tribal sort of situation. I like that aspect. I want to see where that goes more. I like the idea of the idea with Guy and like you have to recollect the different sub functions. Like, that's really cool. It's just the aspect of Varro and like the spacefaring people that's just is dumb.
Regala is a fucking badass.
Yeah, Regala. Right? Oh yeah.
If there is ever an imposing voice, Angela Bassett's got you covered on that shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she rocked that role.
I liked, and I wish they had done more with like the politics of like the different tribes. Because right now it just kind of seems like every tribe is just kind of doing its own thing, and there's not a lot of like intermingling. They're just like, hey, we're this tribe, we're having this problem. Okay, great. But there doesn't seem to be a lot of like interplay between the different tribes. It seems like they're doing their own thing because like they have like the chief or whatever, and he's supposed to like be in charge of all of them, but it doesn't seem like there's that much connection between all of them, and I kind of wish that I'd seen more of that. And once again, early days, so I don't know if it's gonna play out later, but that's kind of where I'm hoping it goes.
So at this
I don't know
point,
if you guys want to chat real quick before I get booted, or
there's one last thing I want to cover then before we boot you. So that would just be like the basic questing and the open world aspects of the game. I came into Forbidden West. I said on the show before that I'm worried because I had burned myself out of open world games, and I was afraid that it would cause me to not enjoy it as much. And I think I was correct in that assumption to some extent. There was a point where I finally just said, look, I mean, I'm already not a platinum trophy guy to begin with, but like there came a point where I said, you know what? I don't care about the pit masters anymore. I don't care about the training grounds. There's a couple of side quests that I'm like, you know what? The initial story that unlocked it, I wasn't feeling it. I'm just going to go jet to the end. We did talk earlier before we started recording about how like the map is a little too overloaded with, say, campsites. Specifically the, I can't remember which ones they're called, but they're the ones that have the repair or the crafting.
Shelters.
Yeah, the shelters.
shelters.
Because those ones come up as question marks. So you always wonder if it's something special, and it turns out it's just a shelter, which means nothing. I felt like that was a problem that I had because I want to clear out every question mark because you never know if that's a black box or if that's one of those drones. Like, you don't know. So every time I go to see one, you know, you'd zoom in close enough and you can see the campfire. So you're like, oh, it's another fucking shelter. Now I have to clear that off anyway, just so I don't have to see that question mark for the rest of the time on the map, just so I don't have to throw my OCD out of line. But like, in terms of like all the other side stuff, I think they did okay. I think they did enough differentiation that I didn't feel like I was copying too much. I thought most of the things that you got to do, like the whole puzzle ruins to get, like all the ruins you have to get, like the ornaments. There we go. That's what it was.
Ornaments.
I thought all of those are pretty inventive. There's one specifically that uses like train cars that I actually liked a lot. So there were elevators too. I thought they did really good. They found really decent ways of doing it. There was like one or two that I needed YouTube help because some of them were like, okay, I think you're looking for me to find like some weird route to a specific climbing point that I'm not seeing. Because sometimes, you know, your focus doesn't always give you the hint that you're looking for. So sometimes you just kind of have to play around and hope. Sometimes you just do what I do, which is glide your way into something from a far enough distance to try to kind of cheat yourself in a spot. I'm pretty sure there's at least one puzzle that I broke by not doing it correctly. Yeah. But hey, that's open world games for you. But yeah, what did you guys think about all the stuff that you had in the side questing and the open map?
I mean, personally, for me, I really appreciated that even if you wanted to platinum the game, you did not need to do everything on the map. In fact, you needed to do a lot less than I was expecting. There was certain, I think it was like the relics. You only had to get like 1 or 2 or something. Like you didn't have to do all of them, just get 1 or 2. Same for most of the scenery shots where you do like get lined up properly with that and all that. You only had to do a couple of them. You had to do all the pit masters. You had to do, I can't remember what the other ones you had to do all of. The hunting grounds, you had to do all of that.
But you didn't get the highest score.
You didn't have to get the highest score. You just had to just get through it. Like, good enough.
Like the pit masters, there's like a couple. The hunting grounds, there's a couple. There's races, but there's only 2 of them in the entire game.
Yeah, you only had to do the 2 races. Yeah.
So thankfully, it doesn't make you like go around and do like 10 of the same thing over and over, like say an Assassin's Creed game would do.
Yeah.
But you do get a little extra like lore and stuff if you do it all.
Yes.
Yes, so Kaylan's not doing those. All right.
No, actually, I was gonna say, as much as I am not hugely into like the lore of all this, I am actually really enjoying the side quests, and I am sacrificing or holding off on the main story because I just get to an area and I'm like, I want to explore everything in this environment, and I think it's really cool how like the environments that they have are just really neat. Like they're all unique and they're all different. And I like I don't find that the quests are too much of a go here, get this part, come back. Like there's some of them that are that, but a lot of them are really unique, creative, like little dungeons and aspects, quick little puzzles, but nothing is overbearing or like overstays its welcome in terms of how much you have to do. Like there's 1 or 2 that are just, go here and get these 2 parts. Like I have to open up the arena and get these parts. And like that one kind of sucks. But for the most part, they're all pretty easy, pretty quick and easy to get through. I think the world is a little bit too big and a little too overpopulated with things. And obviously you don't need to do that for the platinum, but from that completionist aspect, it'd be nice if there was like fewer campsites, more spread out. Like it doesn't take long to traverse through the world. And so I don't think you need as many items and stuff. But the other thing that bugs me is I'm trying to go through it and I'm trying to clear out these areas, but there's I think 3 different I'm gonna call them like keys or way to open. Like you've got the flower thing that you kind of
there's the fire gleam.
Fire gleam. There's underwater, which some stuff is just limited by underwater. Like you need to have.
And then there's like those metal or the steel flowers or whatever they are.
Yeah, the metal flowers.
Yeah. And I'm assuming that I'm in like the last part of the level, like that's where I'm gonna get that part to unlock. But the fact that I'm 40 hours into this game and I have like one of the keys or components I need to unlock things is still not in my grasp is kind of annoying now that I need to kind of go and backtrack to open those. Like I kind of wish that they'd said, hey, here's the tools you need right at the start, or at least early in the game, like in the first 10 hours, okay, here you go unlock stuff. But the fact that you have to progress quite a bit in the level and then go back is kind of annoying.
I will
yeah,
say
that is my only complaint about the game.
Yeah.
Wait, you could go, Adam.
Oh, I was just going to say my one complaint is the fire gleam and the metal flowers because most of them don't give you anything. They're just spots on a map. They give you they give you
resources.
like one of those green shards and maybe if you're lucky a treasure chest that has stuff you already have. I was really disappointed.
And a collectible nearby. There's some notes if you want to get the world text.
There's some stuff, but generally speaking, like I can think of because there's a quest for Zoe that you need to do a couple of metal flowers for just to get to stuff. But other than that, like the fire gleam is literally just another thing to do mostly on your missions to open up stuff. It's more of just a traversal thing. All the secrets that they had weren't really secrets. They were just more loot, and it wasn't even good loot. So I feel like they could have done a better job populating that, or at the very least, like limit how many of those there were so that they could make them more worthwhile. But like for the most part, like I don't have too much to complain. I think they did. Like I did say that I didn't finish everything, but that's mostly because I said, you know what, I got what I wanted. I just want to get this story done because I'm really enthused. I'm really interested in how this ends. I don't feel like suddenly stopping now to go help so and so find their friend that was up on this cliff a long time ago. Like I can't be bothered at this point.
Yeah, I was going to
Go ahead, Liv. I'm going to kind of change the subject. You go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, like, I've been hyping up this game, but my biggest gripe of this game, the only time I'm going to say something negative, is that I feel like it... How do I want to word this? I feel like it punishes you for wanting to clear out an area before you move on. Because if you want to explore all the metal flowers and everything, you need to do those 3 main Gaia missions and then do the rest of it. So I was playing it and I was like, oh, I can't do this yet. Okay, well, maybe the next quest. Oh, I can't do this yet. Okay, maybe the next quest. And then when I did my first Gaia mission after 15 hours, I was like, oh, so I need to do these 3 to unlock stuff. So now I have to backtrack. And I've probably missed areas for all those metal flowers and exploring the caverns and stuff. So I ended up playing this before my girlfriend. She wanted to finish Horizon Zero Dawn, and I told her, I was like, babe, clear out the stuff in Chain Scrape and Barren Light, but then when you get to the base, you want to do those 3 Gaia missions and then play the game how you want to play it. So I feel like this was the first open world game that I've played where it kind of wants you to play the story, and after you do the story, it's okay, then there's these other things you could do in the world. And it that's not how people like us who want to clear out the whole map want to play the game.
Well,
which
it
is
wouldn't be so bad if the metal flowers weren't worth
mean.
anything. When I finally was able to open up metal flowers, I'm like, finally, let's go clear this shit out. There's some in the beginning of the game that you never touched, and then I get to it. It takes forever, by the way, because one of them's on a freaking cliff in a ruin, so it takes forever to get to it. And I hit it, and it's a treasure chest. I'm like,
yeah,
what?
Yeah. And this is what I was going to kind of touch on. Is the idea the reward for exploration is not really great. I can't think of a lot of times you end up getting so many coils that I don't really care. I don't keep track of all the coils, and a lot of the loot is just here's some old relics, and it's a watch or a metallic eye, and it's I'm all just gonna sell this stuff for crap, and I have so many shards already that it doesn't really mean anything. It'd almost be better with those fire gleams or with the metal flowers, hey, this is where you're gonna get a new bow, a new armor set, something that actually rewards you. But you're giving me these items that for the most part I'm not really caring. These resources I don't really pay attention to unless I have a specific weapon I'm looking to upgrade. I don't really care what I'm getting, unless it's muscles so I can make my arrows or that kind of stuff. You're just trickling resources I need to build stuff, but I'm not really feeling rewarded for this exploration. Whereas like I feel like for the effort to the reward is not scaled correctly.
They really could have benefited from putting a lot of like more secrets in the game for sure.
Not secrets, like I like put fewer secrets, but make them that like, yeah, that's where you're getting your new weapons, your new armor classes, your really good coils, like something that's like, okay, this is changing how, like making me reassess how I'm playing this game. But like just give me some shards, I don't give a crap.
I even think like even if they just found like one extra collectible set of things that they could do and put most of them behind those fire gleams and metal flowers to like lead to something else. Like I don't know, maybe it's just more ancient relics that goes in Aloy's room where you see all those other things that she's collected, like cool stuff like that, and then she could have like a brief little bit of dialogue to add to it. Just anything else, but like the fact that you will spend so much time, like Liv said, you know, trying to understand like how I'm ever going to open this one thing that's been staring at me in the face for 10 hours, and then you get to it and it's treasure chest, 200 shards, a couple bombs, and a stick that you're not going to use. And you're like, thanks.
Especially since... Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, especially because in the first game at the end, as we'd mentioned earlier, there's that special armor that you got at the end, and you had to then backtrack. But, like, it was worth it. You could have already beaten the game, and you go back and just get this super epic armor to use. Even, sure, game's over, but, like, I mean, it's actually worth going to collect. Why not have it be, like, like armor pieces or something that finally gets... And you go on one final quest, and then, you can put all those pieces together. Someone will forge epic armor for you or something. Yeah, because I found the exact same thing. Like, you just get a few shards and a coil that's way worse than the one you already have for, like, the last 20 hours and all this other stuff. Like, I just stopped. I didn't even go back and keep looking for the things. I'm like, I know there's nothing behind any of this. I don't need it.
Well then, we're almost an hour in already, so we're probably going to get into spoiler territory soon. So, Kaylan, is there anything else that you wanted to get out, or were you still in that stage of like I still got like half the game to do?
I still have half the game to do, so I can't speak to the story or where it's going. I know I've given a lot of criticisms and I've pointed at a lot of flaws in this game, and this is a game that, despite all that, I absolutely love. When I'm not playing this game, I want to play this game. I don't think it's as strong as Zero Dawn. I think Zero Dawn is the stronger of the two games, but this is absolutely amazing. I absolutely love this game, and like I said, despite all its technicalities and all its issues and stuff, this is a game that has a really fun gameplay loop, and that's really what's most important with the video game. The story definitely could, use some improvement from what I've seen so far, and like there are some issues and stuff. It's not a perfect game by any stretch, but this is a fantastic game that I really like. Anyone who has a PS5, I would definitely encourage them to go in and play this game. So that's where I'll leave it for now. Maybe we'll review this once I actually finish the story, and I'll give like my full thoughts on it. But so far, like, I'm interested. I like this whole Gaia story, seeing where that goes. I think there's some aspects that I'm like not interested in, but there's some that I am, and I'm excited to see where it goes next. But it's just the characters are just where I'm falling. I'm not invested in the characters. I'm invested in the story, but not in the characters, if that makes sense. I'm sorry, Liv. Don't hate me.
It's okay. We already had our fight. We worked through our differences where you're wrong, and it's okay.
We're stronger for it. All right, cool, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of the podcast and the spoiler talk. And I'm excited to, once I finish this game in June, I'm excited to see what you guys say about it. So I'm going to log off. Thanks, guys. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
All right, let's fix the cameras. Now we got a pretty Aloy on the screen here for anybody watching on YouTube. So there we go. Where do I start? By the way, I will make this, if anybody's listening on audio, this is now spoiler territory from here on out. So if you haven't finished Horizon, or, for God forbid that you plan on playing it and you still haven't yet, why haven't you started playing Horizon yet? Come on, man. Unless you don't have a PS5, in which case, all right, fine, I'll accept that reason. But yeah, from this point on, we're probably not even going to talk a lot about non-spoiler stuff. This is probably just story talk for the rest of the show here. Unless we just want to fawn over photo mode for another 30 minutes, I guess. I suppose that's an option too.
I'm in.
I'm trying to figure out what question I want to ask first, because I have a bunch.
All of them!
Yeah, just go.
So I'll start with what I think is the most important one. What the fuck are they going to do in the third game?
Okay, so what they're going to do in the third game is they sent everyone out to like go tell their tribes about what's happening. So now we have to teach people. So there's probably going to be a time skip so people are caught up to speed. And Hephaestus is... not Hephaestus. Oh my god, what is the thing called?
Gaia?
Nemesis. Nemesis is coming. Yeah, Nemesis is coming.
See, here...
And now we gotta build up this army, and we can do it. Silence staying behind, though, that was...
Well, here's my initial issue, right? Like, we sort of understood what they were able to accomplish in 2, because Silence was able, through Hades and through what he learned about Nemesis, to be able to concoct a way to defeat Farzine the Shields. We understood that part. This is what I'm equating it to. Mass Effect 3, you finally have to start fighting Reapers. They also had spaceships then. We don't. In Horizon, whatever 3 is going to be called, we are tribesmen with spears and bows, and we're about to fight a galactic threat that killed a planet. So my question is, what wizardry, voodoo, and bullshit are they going to come up with to solve this problem?
Silence is going to interrogate Apollo like he interrogated Hades, and then be like, you're smart enough not to break yourself, right? So I'm
just waiting for like the hidden AI that Elizabeth actually made in the off chance that a galactic threat would suddenly also attack the planet and they unlock more, but... Unless Travis Tate comes out of the blue and finally like does his piece, because that man deserves something for the amount of trolling that son of a bitch did in the game.
My theory is similar, very similar to Liv's, but I think that a big part of the game will be about trying to actually negotiate a truce with Hephaestus. Is that how you say it, right?
Yes.
Because I mean, that AI can just pump out an army like nothing, like over and over and over and over.
Well, and I'm assuming that too, but like, again, Far Zenith with their tech couldn't deal with it.
Oh, well, the second half of the game is everybody just dies on Earth.
Well, could they not figure it out, or were they just thinking that they're better than everyone else? They've survived for this long that you just... Like, can you imagine if you took all the billionaires on Earth, all those shitty people, and put them on a ship? Like, are they gonna make it? Like, yeah, they bought their way on here, but, like, I wouldn't trust any of them with my life. That's why they're all dead.
Yeah, I suppose you can make that claim, too, not to mention they did kind of get blindsided, so I suppose we're getting in preparation phase, but, like, my brain is not getting past, like, the sheer tech difference that they have to face against, basically... like billions of AI that are about to... Like, this is iRobot, except it's not Will Smith with guns. It's Ashley Birch with a bow. I feel like she's at a disadvantage here.
Maybe a little one. I mean, unless she goes up to Nemesis, finds the battery, takes it out, boom.
I mean, unless you're going to do like what D&D players... Unless we're going the D&D strategy, which is we're just going to use diplomacy on Nemesis.
Talk.
But I guess that would be my question though. Isn't Nemesis like from what I understood from the lore, Nemesis is just coming after Far Zenith. If Nemesis doesn't see Far Zenith anywhere, is Nemesis still destroying the planet? I guess that's where my confusion kind of comes in, because they made it sound like because Far Zenith built them, almost like, again, I use Mass Effect as the easy one for me, but like how the Quarians and the Geth, they made the Geth, and the Geth try to get back at them for enslaving them. I feel like that's what Nemesis is doing to Far Zenith, because Far Zenith was trying to use them for like whatever dumb billionaire bitch purposes they were coming up with. So like, I guess Nemesis is just one track mind. We're going to destroy this. I don't care who's there.
I really don't know.
It's tough. Like, that's one of those things where when the ending happened, I went, what are you guys gonna do? I'm lost. I mean, I'm in, but I don't know what you're gonna do.
Yeah, it might have to be a negotiate kind of thing. Like, make a deal with it or something. Talk to it. Isn't it the AI is, or Nemesis is like all the conscious, they were trying to upload their own consciousness.
It's basically the internet.
Okay.
Yeah. It's almost like Ultron.
I'm working through a theory, because there's a side quest in Horizon Zero Dawn, the Frozen Wilds, where you go into like an airplane hangar. So if they recapture Hephaestus, get rid of the malicious code, they could essentially just rebuild some of the planes, and then you have the Tanakh, who all believe in the wings and the 10, and that whole Air Force. So essentially the Tanakh could become the Air Force that takes down...
Well, I mean, essentially all the Tanakh, their different tribes were based on different teams. Like, they were like the Sky Clan is basically based off of what they saw of the Air Force.
Yeah, I think... Yeah. But in my game, I killed Regala. I killed her. And Hikaru, safe passage, doesn't have to deal with Regala anymore. So if he unifies them, I think that, like, since he is from the Sky Clan originally, I believe, that, like, he's gonna make, like, an Air Force fleet with the
do you then know what happens to Regala if you save her?
I think she just leads into the final battle. She's just there.
She dies. She immediately just gets killed off.
Oh, in the battle?
Yeah, so, like, I asked Chris before you came on when we were talking beforehand, like, what's the fucking point in saving her? She literally dies, like, 5 minutes, like the second you get into, like, any sort of fighting, really, she's gone. You're just like, well, that was pointless.
Yeah, they didn't want to.
I didn't trust her. I was like, she needs to go.
Well, my logic was, you need someone crazy to take on these other crazy billionaires. You take like, there's no way you don't beat violence with the most violent person in the room. You have to.
I felt like the game wanted you to spare her, but I was like, I'm not doing that.
Well, my thing is also, if I kill her, that's possibly one less silly scene that I can come up with. And sure enough, there was a couple of weird dialogues that happened when you get back to the base and she's there.
Yeah,
true.
no. Yeah. Oh, did you choose to save her too?
I did. I did. Because I was like, would Aloy? Yeah, I'm like, she would let her live maybe. But also, I was thinking, like, I need this battle's coming and I need whoever. I don't care. My worst enemies can come. I don't care. Let's just everybody have a spear or something. We got to stab some people.
There's also the inner, like, BioWare player in me where I think, no, I have to have as many allies as possible that might come in handy in a cutscene somewhere. Like, that's where my brain thinks. Even though, like, there was a side mission where you had to choose between 2 leaders for one of these Sanok tribes, and it doesn't matter again. Like, I felt like they were trying to do which one you gonna pick? This might affect something, and then it doesn't. Like, it's just, which person do you want to speak in a cutscene sometime later down the road, basically.
Who did you pick for that one?
Would have been the woman. I can't remember her name.
Yeah, Yara.
Yeah, that's who I chose too.
Because I felt the other guy was kind of a dimwit.
Yeah.
I looked at him like, I don't think you can lead.
To be fair, the first game did the same thing where they, like, you could choose to save or kill someone, and it doesn't really matter a whole lot.
Yeah, I feel like they're just.
Did you guys
like
finish the races?
I didn't.
I only did the 2 necessary for the trophy.
So if you go and you win against Red Tooth, it's nil from the first game.
What?
Oh, okay.
Which makes no sense because in my playthrough, I played twice, and I killed him in one, and I spared him in another. So did Aloy just injure him severely and he didn't kill? But in the beginning, it's not like a choice-based game where it's like, did you pick these things? So Nil's just there unexplainably, but I was like, Nil! Because Canon didn't want to kill him. But I like to play the game both ways just to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, like,
so,
I feel like
Nil.
They try to do what a lot of games do, which is try to give you the perception of choice. And I feel like if they want to do it, they need to do it more effectively because I don't feel like there's ever any stakes on the line. And Regala basically proved it to me now because here I am saving who's basically the villain the entire game. And it didn't matter. She was gone within like 15 minutes of me saving her. So it was like, great. Well, that was worth the effort.
Yeah, I thought that was ridiculous.
Speaking of the villains, how long did you guys figure out that it was going to be a Far Zenith plot? Because as soon as we started...
As soon as you met them?
Well, no, as soon as we were in that first mission in Far Zenith, I'm like, this is a weird... Like, you know how a lot of the times you'll start in some inconspicuous area to find something? And then that ends up being the thing towards the end. Like, I looked at this and be like, you're not showing me the name Far Zenith and saying it over and over again for no reason. This is going to come in handy somewhere.
Yeah.
I was just torn between, okay, is this Far Zenith that's going to be the main boss, or is this them under the tutelage of Ted Faro? And as we found out, well, I mean, Ted Faro's technically still around, but he's there, and there, and there, and there, and all over there.
I can't wait to talk about Thebes. But from as soon as they go, oh, another copy, because referring to Aloy, I was like, this is the overarching thing where you have to fight Eric for the first time. And what Kaylan was saying before, I didn't want to like tell him, but he was like, oh, I'm not into the space thing. Neither was I, because I was like, I played the first game so long ago, and I was like, I don't really remember them being mentioned. So I did like, I wrote Far Zenith, Horizon Zero Dawn, collectibles, and there were only like 2. And then I was like, oh, I remember reading about this. And then I thought that, oh, okay, so they're really pushing this. Like, there's only so much you could do with the Earth. So now they're really expanding the horizon. And at first, I was like, I don't know, Aloy going to space? I don't think so. But then space came to Aloy, and I was like, okay, I could work with this.
I thought it was a great idea. Like, I think they did a fantastic job, like, turning the curtain on you guys and being like, hey, it ain't just Regala. Here's space villains with impenetrable shields. Have fun dealing with this. And we're like, oh, fuck, we're screwed. How are we getting out of this one? It did bring that tension there of being like, okay, so not only am I about to fight space people, but it's space billionaires. I hate billionaires, and they're from space. This is the worst case scenario for us. We're in trouble. And then you get to that point where you get on top of the mountain, and you see, like, the random weapon that takes out the shields. I'm like, oh, I thought we were going to do that. I was kind of flattened by that a little bit too.
Yeah,
I felt like that was like the gist of the story. Like I was like, all right, this is gonna be. I can't wait to see how we get out of this. And then somebody else solves, like usually Silence solves the problem. I'm like, I want to do stuff too.
My only issue with the space people part with Far Zenith was I didn't like them being like the same people who left and they're immortal. Because it's like, okay, so you're telling me from when this was all happening, we were like 10 years out from figuring out immortality. Like that's where science was like as you guys are leaving, because it's not like they were like 20-year-olds leaving the planet and it took them, they're like 70 and they finally figured it out or something.
Well,
I didn't like that it was the same people who left that came back.
Well, you think about the tech that they had at that time and the fact that like Farah was already like starting to do this experiment with gene therapy, it makes sense that they could have. And with the machinery that they were able to design, because I mean, you see what obviously Gaia is capable of doing. It basically can reform a whole fucking planet for you. So it's not out of the realm of possibility given what space they're in. So that part didn't bother me. The thing that honestly bugged me the most is that aside from Eric, none of them mean anything. Gerard
what
is...
What do you mean?
Gerard,
Tilda.
Well, yeah, Tilda, but like Tilda up until like the very end, you think is part of
so creepy.
She's
creepy.
That final boss battle was fun.
Oh my god. The Tilda is so creepy. First of all, Elizabeth Sobek, queen lesbian. Then Tilda was like, I found a superior copy of Elizabeth Sobek. I felt like she was trying to flirt with me, and then before the final battle,
yeah, she definitely was.
But I was like, am I just being too gay right now? Am I thinking that I'm being hit on?
If Aloy could,
she made you tea. She made tea over a sunset.
This entire end doesn't happen if Aloy was just willing to scissor once, okay? That would have solved all the problems. We'd have a Far Zenith member already ready to help with Nemesis, but no, Aloy. You just had to just not like any, like, you don't want to love anybody, because Aloy through the entire game is like, I have time for no one shit.
He touches Katalu's shoulder one time, there's evidence.
I'm not gonna
love confirmed.
I love that part of Aloy, that her entire game is like, fuck all your bullshit. I'm trying to not die here.
When Tilda was like, I'm not making this mistake twice and letting you get away from me, I was like,
by killing you.
I was like, oh my god. It was like, oh my god, she's the craziest lesbian ever.
Yeah, the gay agenda is gonna suddenly like really put us under now because of Tilda. It's all her fault. Horizon is the end of the LGBT
There are so many
community.
gay couples in this. I thought the representation in this game was really nice.
I think they did a good job.
Oh yeah.
There was a handful of members from the LGBT community. And then Boomer from the Sisters was autistic, and I thought that was really nice. And what I really thought that they did a great job with people, like, I feel like in the gaming industry, they'll just add, like, people of color just to be like, oh, representation. But they actually gave people, like, personalities and backstories, and they, like, actually cared about minorities in this game. And that made me really happy.
Well, and you also notice that, there's not, like, this tribe is just, like, you almost would have figured that in 10, like, 15 years ago, the Tanakh would have just been all black people. That would have been it. Like, 100%, they would have just, like, they're all savages. Like, that's what they would have done with them. But because, like, you look at the Tanakh, you look at the Oseram, or you look at the Karja, like, for the most part, every race is it, because on this planet, it would have been a diverse planet. So the Tenakth aren't just Chinese people, or the Osram aren't just German people. Like, everybody kind of mixes with each race or each tribe, because that's what the world was then. So of course that's what it would be. And I appreciate that, because you would have expected, like I said, in a much earlier game, that it probably would have been very race-based back in those days. But in here, you don't really notice it, because it feels like everybody's part of every tribe.
Yeah, it's just everybody has like equal dialogue, equal backstory, like it's all spread out. Everybody is just like they don't even notice it. Like it's just represented like as if that was not an issue like it is today. Like it's just they'd already figured that out. They've moved on to other issues like Nemesis and whatnot. But like race in the game just appears to just not be an issue at all. Like everybody's just good.
Like, if you really wanted to make an argument, like, realistically, like, you really just had, like, shades of white, a couple of black people, and I'm talking, like, your main party. And then, like, one you could probably consider, like, Native American. So if you were, like, looking for someone in any part of Asia, you weren't going to get that in the main characters. But for the most part, like, I feel like they were able to offset it by giving enough side characters in either the side stories or, like, parts of the plot that were at least able to balance it, so it didn't feel like they were trying to lean too hard in one direction. So
that's just something I really appreciated in the game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Speaking of I can't make this segue as good as I can, but I guess it was funny that Kaylan was like, I really don't like Varl, and I was trying really hard not to be like, well, you won't have to wait too much longer for that problem to go away.
Oh, he's my favorite character, and for him to
honestly
die,
shocked that anybody that died, it was him.
Yeah, I didn't think that. Not him.
I would have put like my life savings on Beta dying. I cannot believe she's alive.
I felt like it was really important to keep her alive for the narrative
Well,
sake.
my logic was just like, she's a clone. It is literally designed to die. Like, that's just my brain thinking from every video game I've ever played. You can't have the same person twice.
Yeah, we don't need you, Steb.
Instead, they went the anime route, which is, this child doesn't need parents. Kill the dad!
I was shocked that they, like, Varl, I have a feeling it's going to be a boy, and they're going to be like, Varl Jr.
Honestly, like, if I would have picked anybody in that party to die, I would have gone Erend. Don't ask me why, but I feel like Erend would have been the pick.
Yeah.
I feel like he's the most beloved, so I figured like it would have made sense. Who knows? Maybe he's dead to rights in the third game. We'll see, but
true. Yeah, and Varl's mom is still around. Like, is she leading the Nora? Or she's just like a general in it?
But she's like the high general kind of position.
Yeah, like military leader of the Nora or something. Yeah, like she's gonna be pissed, so she'll probably be pretty important in the third game.
She's gonna be a new villain. She's gonna be like one of the people Aloy has to begrudgingly fight because it's her fault.
This means Varl had two deaths. Second he dies, but first it was the death of his beard. And now he had two parts that, like, I got sad twice through Varl. It's not fair.
I was shocked. I was like, oh, that's happening right now.
When I saw that set piece beginning, I'm like, okay, this has to be the turn now. You have to start raising the stakes at this point on. It's not going to be as simple as we're going to get Hephaestus. There's going to be a catch. As soon as they show up, and I'm doing the math, I'm like, all right, one of two things are happening here. Varl's dying, which I don't think is the case. So my brain went, Beta earlier said, if they try to take me again, you need to kill me. So my brain went, oh, okay, she's going to begrudgingly shoot Beta.
Yeah.
While she's being carried away to keep her from being put in their hands. So I'm like, all right, well, there we go. There's the setup. But Varl's already dead at this point. So I'm like, wait, is she going to be left with nothing? And I'm like, that's actually not a bad way to do it, because that really raises the stakes for Aloy. That makes her want to kill the shit out of all of them for that. Instead, Beta's fine. Varl just lays there dead, and you wake up with Creepy Lady. Or Creepy Carrie-Ann Moss Lady, I guess I should say now.
I kept thinking Varl wasn't actually dead, like just really, 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 really hurt. But then we'd be like, oh, okay, good, he's still alive. I kept waiting, even to the point where it's like, that's clearly a grave. And I was like, there
was definitely like the welling. I don't cry very often in games, but there was definitely a welling as they were doing like their eulogy for him. Which is funny because like I wasn't the biggest person to Varl, but they did a really good job of how they wrote that cutscene up, so it actually did feel the emotion to it.
Yeah, I definitely had like a single tear, like go down my face.
Are you sure that was a tear, or was that just the Karja face paint?
Oh, it could have been the face paint. I was doing that earlier. Yeah.
So I'm trying.
How did you feel about Beta when you first met her? Like, I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, I was also. I don't know.
Having another Elizabeth Sobek, like Elizabeth Sobek's my mom.
See, here's the weird thing. I didn't look at her as Elizabeth Sobek.
That's my mom.
I couldn't get away from the fact that all I thought was, oh my god, this is like me watching like X-Men 3 and seeing Elliot Page pre-transition, because that's all my brain was looking at when I saw Beta. I'm like, oh my god, what is happening here? Why is this looking exactly like Elliot Page? This is throwing my brain off. Because like the short hair, like it looks like Juno. Like that's all I could think of.
Juno. She grew on
me.
But otherwise, I understood the way that they were writing her. It was intentionally annoying. I saw people being like, she's a bitch. I'm like, wouldn't you be if you were literally forced to just sit in a chair?
Yeah, she has no social skills, but...
Yeah.
So she's like Aloy, just even more bitchy.
She gets better.
Sisters. She called her sister, and then I was like, oh, that hit me in my feels.
Yeah, after that, I'm like, all right, she's definitely dying in the third game.
Oh yeah, she's gonna be the one that sacrifices herself to stop Nemesis through some. I don't know.
She's gonna have a Mordin Solus moment from Mass Effect 3. That's what's gonna happen to her.
I feel like we're gonna get DLC for this game, and I wonder if like we'll get to train Beta. I want to see her.
That would be a cool idea. Yeah.
The white shirt in the pants. Like, put her in some armor. Get this girl some skills.
There's a lot of things I'd like them to do in a DLC. It really depends on what direction you want to go with. Like, I'd almost rather... It's hard to say. Like, you could do stuff with Beta. I'd almost want them to go back to the Meridian and do stuff there. There's also, like, other options you have where, like, you can explore a little bit more of the California side of things, because I don't feel like you really got to spend a lot of time over there, because it was really just the last little bit of the game. Yeah. I mean, they could also just pull a Frozen Wilds thing where it's just, here's a brand new section with this whole new tribe that you've never seen before, but... there's a lot of different directions they can go in it. I don't want them to make the mistake, though, of like just immediately trying to follow up the plot and trying to set up 3. I'd rather you not do that unless it's like giving like really like a very small like lore hint. I don't want to be bludgeoned with like what the next plot's going to be. I'd rather it just be an accompaniment to Forbidden West, not a prequel to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. Actually, I have a question for you too. Did either of you remember the State of Play that came out in like May?
Yeah, how like none of that actually existed.
None of that was in the game. Like it was like Aaron was captured and Aloy was chasing after him. They did an MCU
fake out in that trailer.
Yeah, and when we finally got full West, I was like, oh yeah, this is when the State of Play part happens.
And you start realizing, wait, Aaron's never with me. What's happening here?
Yeah.
That's so funny. I completely forgot about that.
Yeah. Maybe that's the DLC. Maybe he then gets captured.
That would be interesting.
Like,
that would be interesting if they were like, psych, you just saw a trailer for a game we hadn't even started producing yet.
Just useless DLC, gets captured, you save him. It's like, here's your free bow. DLC over.
So like,
yeah, it wasn't in at all.
The early parts of the game, I felt like did the best job of setting things up, and I felt as the game got to its climax that for the most part, I didn't feel like we got good closure, personally. Eric got a satisfying kill, that's fine. But like, Gerard's basically dead before you get to him, so that was pointless. You don't really, like, most of Far Zenith is killed by all the monsters, so that defeated that purpose. So like, apart from the Eric fight, and obviously the Tilda fight at the end, like I don't feel like you really got to flesh out the villains. And then on top of that, we don't even get to see, like you saw through the holographic what Ted Faro looks like, but you don't even really see it because I guess they can't have the M rating in that game because that's what that would have been. That was a Resident Evil moment with Faro there.
That whole thieves section was nuts.
That was nuts.
We could spend half an hour on that section alone because of the amount of shit. Like, I'll say this one thing: whoever thought that naming that guy CEO is a fucking genius, and I love that. That man deserves a raise, because I was sitting there being like, oh my god, it's a reincarnated Ted Faro. That's our new villain. Fuck. And then he dies immediately. I'm like, yeah, that's even better. I love it.
Yeah. Going into Thieves, I was like, is he really another copy of Ted Faro? I was like, we already have a copy of Elizabeth Sobek. I feel like it's kind of redundant.
Well, I think she would have said that it was Ted Faro, because she obviously knows what Ted Faro looks like. So I'm like, okay, no, he's probably just given that name and thinks he's probably delusional or some sense. But I'm like, I thought that he would become the big villain either at the end of this game or going forward, because he was now going to take a tribe, take maybe the Zenith technology somehow, and create his own army. And that would be something to deal with in the next game. Nope, just gets crushed by, giant ass fucking statue of himself.
Yeah.
And also, that dungeon is stupid. I literally walked in lava and rolled around in lava and didn't die. Come on, guys.
You had it on story mode. That's your fault.
What? Are you telling on normal, if you even touched it, you died?
Oh, I don't know. At that point, I think I was on story mode.
I'd love to know, but
and I you didn't suffer too much damage, but I kind of just I knew the route, so I didn't really
Well, I just found it funny, though. I'm like, here's supposed to be this you think of any other game that uses lava, it's death. Like, you fall in that, you're done. Oh, yeah. In this game, it's like, nah, you can roll around like it's a fucking puddle.
Yeah.
It's like, oh shit, I just rolled in over, extremely hot liquid. Let me eat a berry.
Gotta get that berries going,
Fruit's good love for you.
So I'll let you start unpacking. Well, you start with Thebes there, Liv.
I didn't know anyone that had finished the game, so only you. So I messaged you and I was like, what do you think Ted Faro looked like? And he's like, you saw it on the screen. And I was like, what?
I definitely blew your fucking mind with how disappointingly.
I was like, he sounds like a wolf, but he's probably disintegrating. I was thinking he sounds like a wolf. He's growling, but I was picturing an angry Ditto Pokemon, jelly, just this guy who was mutating himself, but he's no longer a person. He's just gelatinous, but he sounds like a wolf. And I was like, he wouldn't just become a wolf.
So he was gonna be Pizza the Hut.
I was like, oh my god. I was like, I wanted to see him so badly. And it's all I could think about. And that whole section where his daughter's like, people keep dying, and he just turned their brains off and stuff. I was like, this guy is crazy.
I was more leaning on how they were going with, oh, he's a pedophile. I'm like, oh.
Oh, yeah, had all the young girls.
He had a harem. I'm like, oh, this is weird.
Well, he's got to repopulate, maybe. Who knows? I'm sure that's what he was thinking.
Yeah, I guess all that gene therapy, he thought he was going to suddenly get rid of that micropenis he probably had, but
Oh, that section was so creepy.
There was so much, that was easily my favorite part of the game, because that was so what's the word I'm looking for? I felt dirty.
Yeah, and it was suspenseful. The only other time that really elicited similar suspense was very early on in the game when you go to get Minerva, and it was like, you are not wanted here. And I was like, what is gonna happen to me?
Yeah, you had a system shock kind of moment there where you're like, oh man, do I get to face some creepy, terrifying AI?
Yeah, it almost turned into a horror game for a second. I was like, what is gonna happen to me?
Yeah, that was creepy. That part was really creepy.
Yeah, no, it was really great for that. Also, listening to it with the 3D audio was fantastic for that shit.
Oh, did you play with headphones?
Yeah, I never played with my TV speakers. I wanted to play in 3D audio for that.
I think I missed out on that. Yeah, I definitely only did the TV. Oh yeah, I screwed up then, for sure.
Yeah, well, even just standing there in the wildlife, the sounds were fantastic. But yeah, the Minerva part, specifically that voice, that scared the shit out of me the first time, because I had my volume way higher than I should have.
Yeah, I remember being really freaked out at that point, and I think I was 10 hours straight playing, and it was 4 a.m. It was definitely the wrong time for me to be playing.
Minerva? You here?
Yeah. And I turn I play in the basement, and I turn all the lights purple and stuff when I play gaming mode, and I'm already in. I felt like I was already in an AI dungeon or something. It was freaking me out. Absolutely. Yeah, but that Ted Faro part, oh my god. Blew my mind.
I thought
blew
about
my friggin' mind
for a very long time. Ditto.
Yeah.
That sounds like a wolf.
Yeah, I didn't go with Ditto the Pokemon. I definitely didn't. I was picturing.
What'd you picture?
like Nemesis from
Yeah,
Resident Evil
I was
3.
legitimately thinking like a Resident Evil boss.
Yeah, that's what I pictured. But I never saw an image of him on the screen or whatever that you're talking about. I never saw that.
There's a moment where there's a hologram where it looks almost like a fucking like his heart, or it looks like a tree branching out. Like that's all it is like he's basically like just mutated to the point that like he's sticking to the walls. Like he's just this fucking endless, like he must be this giant cascade of flesh.
Or Jello.
Or he's Ditto.
Well,
he's
you know what?
Ditto.
I wish they hadn't burned the place down, because that would have been the most satisfying way, just to leave him to be there immortal for the rest of his godforsaken life, given the shit that he does. The fact that he gets killed by not even you is kind of unfair to the players, I think.
Yeah, I read about this though, because they did not want to show him. They knew that they did not want to show him because they really wanted to like be up to the player and be like, well, what do you think it looks like? And honestly, it makes for good conversation.
It does.
Like,
I would have preferred though that it wasn't CO telling his buddies to go burn the place down. It would have been like, you take a look around the corner and you just kind of look away and you don't know what the fuck it is. Like Aloy's sitting there like horrified, and then walks back and is sitting there being like, oh my god, what did I just see? And just stares at like the incinerate button, you know?
Yeah. Or if like she went in and it was actually, you saw it from Ted's point of view, like you saw Aloy walking
like
and it
being
was you
really
looking
high
at
up
her
in the air, like his
really
eyes
high
are
up.
fucking 30 feet high, and like you hear like the like just like whatever the sound of like flesh like just dripping all over the place.
Yeah, so you never see him.
Just
Angry Ditto.
Angry Ditto.
That's exactly
I still personally was holding up for him actually being a boss, because like I thought the fact that like not only did, I mean, look, like it makes sense that he ended up trying to be God and it didn't work out, and like I think that also works, but there is also still that part of me that's disappointed that I don't get to personally deal with him myself, as like being technically Elizabeth Sobek, getting vengeance for him basically fucking up everything I worked for.
Yeah, because like that guy, through his company, destroyed the entire planet. Then Elizabeth
and then couldn't accept that he did it and couldn't even try to atone for it. He just decided, no, I won't let you fix my problem.
Yeah, and like killed the whole Zero Dawn team or whatever it was. Does that. Then he's living in this dungeon with all these the women
with
and
his sex slaves,
doctor,
basically.
Yeah, and then there's like one of the lore data things where it's like, well, I have to figure out immortality because Elizabeth's children are going to need me. So he starts to think, like, he destroyed all the knowledge of what happened, but then he has the audacity to think that he can come back and like lead humanity.
He wanted to be God.
I was so mad at him.
We know that this game isn't made in Japan, because otherwise you would have killed him, because you have to kill God in a Japanese
You always
RPG.
have to kill. Yeah. Quest 1, go collect enough eggs for breakfast.
Quest 1, save a cat from out up in a tree. End of game, kill God. That's just how it is.
Yeah, it's always.
But yeah, like there's a whole lot of other like little things, I guess, that could be bothering me, but like for the most part, I felt like most of the game did what it was supposed to do, which was keep me interested. Some clicked at the end, some didn't. I felt like the Tilda moment where she like snaps was fucking fantastic, because I didn't realize that was where it was going.
Yeah.
Because I thought she was going to die just sacrificing herself or something. That's where my brain went. The second that she was like, you're going to come with me, right? And the second Aloy said no, I'm like, oh, I see. Oh, fuck, she's about to go after my ass now. Oh, no.
Oh, that's so creepy.
You see those gears just start to turn, and you're going, oh, here comes the batshit lesbian angle.
Yeah. Oh, my God, Tilda. You're making us look bad, honey.
Yeah, Tilda was badass.
That final boss transformation, that was some anime level shit. I love that.
That was
some Metal Gear Solid final boss territory stuff.
Yeah. And Carrie-Anne Moss like killed that role too.
Yeah.
I mean, she talked once and I was like, "Oh, it's Trinity. Hey, what's up?" Like I just knew who it was right away.
It's hard to say who I think shines out the most. I think, like I said, Angela Bassett as Regala really did a fantastic job. Especially, unfortunately, Liv didn't get to see that part because she killed the bitch, but...
Well, the next playthrough I'm going to like when they add New Game Plus mode.
The dialogue that happens when you have Regala in your base and she's like embarrassed and humiliated is fantastic. Like, you get the sense of like, I hate every fiber of your being, but I have a code that I live by. I'm going to do this. So like just the sheer amount of like disdain for your ass is hilarious. And the fact that Silence is in there with you with everything else is just like, you just kind of walk in and be like, hey, Silence. He's like, why are you talking to me? And you almost like hope Aloy just says, because I know it annoys you.
Good point.
They had a great, I like, as much as Silence, I can't stand him too, because I feel like he just ends up being like the plot device constantly in the game. Every time him and Aloy talked was just a fucking treat.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because it was either Aloy saying, look, next time I see you, you're getting shivved, motherfucker. Or then she finally sees him and just like, I'm just going to annoy the shit out of you every chance I get now. And it was fucking great.
Oh yeah. And how is Ashley Birch, who's Aloy, also Tiny Tina? Like, how the hell?
The range.
Don't get me started on how like I don't want to play Wonderland so badly now, and I still haven't gotten around to, because there's like 50 other things I have to play still.
This is true. I'm in the exact same boat.
Did you even end up starting to play it, Liv?
Yeah, I'm playing it with the British, so I'm on like, we get to play like maybe an hour and a half or 2 hours, like, so we're making our way through it, but because of time zones, I haven't finished it.
I'm so excited to get around to that. I know Chris. Well, I get it through Chris because of console share, so that's something I'm definitely into.
So does my girlfriend.
But like, I it's so crazy because I used to watch Hey Ash, What You Playin' when she was doing that. So it's really weird seeing what used to just be a YouTube comedy thing suddenly turns into like, here she is doing like this really intense, like crazy main character in a game. Like the Tiny Tina thing made sense. That is Ashley Birch's like gimmick right there. Like if you watch any of the stuff that she used to do on YouTube, her voice is perfect for that shit. And then you hear Aloy and you're like, I don't recognize you. Who the fuck are you? Who is this Oscar-winning like actor that they got to do this role? And I'm like, oh, it's Ashley Birch. All right.
Yeah,
I'm not complaining,
fantastic.
But fantastic job by her.
Yeah, she's in a show Mythic Quest as well, which is about game development, and she's just like a QA tester for gaming, which is like the dream. And she's like perfect in that too. It's like her normal voice, which is very close to Aloy. But it's also funny because when she was first on, I was like, oh, hey, it's Ashley. And then I'm like, wait a minute, why? Oh, right, Aloy. That's who I'm hearing. Aloy's at this place. She works here.
I played Life is Strange first, so she's Chloe. So when I started Horizon Zero Dawn, I was like, Chloe Price? And it took me a real long time to see her as Aloy.
It's okay. If you walk into a tornado in Horizon, she doesn't fade this time.
Wait, has there been a big enough tornado yet in Horizon?
That was another sad thing. All the Dust Devils on the map, they don't do fucking anything. I'm like, oh, come on, guys.
Did you purposely walk through them?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Of course I did.
I avoided them.
I had to test it.
Yes, I avoided them.
I had to test it, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
I think if you're gliding in the air, it can do something, but like, I stood literally as close as I could get to it, and nothing. I was like, oh, come on, guys. I want to be blown halfway across the map. Do it.
Do it, I dare you.
Ragdoll physics.
Speaking of flying, I hated that mount. I can't believe that they decided that was the end game, because it was so slow.
What? I didn't think it was slow.
I thought it was supremely slow. Like
you like the Claw Strider, but you don't.
I didn't say I liked Claw Strider.
Oh, who was that? Was that Kaylan?
I think that might have been Kaylan.
Oh, because I was like, that thing.
I was always
so
Charger.
Slow.
I always stuck Charger.
It might as well walk backwards.
Yeah, no, like the second you get that mount and they make you fly to the where Hikaru is.
Oh.
I felt like I was sitting there being like, why is this taking so long? I'm like, I'm just gliding. Like, I'm not doing anything. Like, I'm not shooting anything. I'm just going. Like, what is this?
I hold X and then I do my twirls.
Like, I mean, yeah, you can do that, but I mean, for the most part, it's just like, guys, I just want to do the things. Like, let me do the things already.
I do love the flying mount. I agree. Like, if it was a bit faster, I'd definitely
give me
be okay
the sun.
with that.
Like, give me a Sunwing and let me go like fucking like. You know how when you play like a Saints Row game and there's the jet and there's the two modes, there's the glide mode and there's the fucking supersonic speed mode? Give me that. Like, give me something where if I want to like kind of land and be accurate, give me the slow mode. But give me I just want to go from one end of the map to the other and just go. That's all I want.
You want a boost button.
But instead, the second I got the mount and realized how slow it was, I'm like, fast travel.
Yeah,
we have
SDs.
We have SSDs now. Like I don't need to fly across the map fast. I can literally just hit the map, click that. Oh, look, 5 seconds later, I'm at that thing. That was so much faster.
Well, I needed the flying mount. There was a trophy to glide for 60 seconds straight, so I had to go on the flying mount.
I did that without that. I did
that without that?
Yeah.
How?
Because I was like, I don't know if we're going to fly in this game. So it was when I picked up a side quest at Bulwark, and you have to climb all the way up. And I said, I think this mountain's high enough. And I jumped off, and I just glided all the way down. But I saw people, like, cheesing it. They're like, I'm going to take this bird as high as it goes, and I'm just going to glide down. I jumped off a mountain.
Wow.
I was surprised I didn't get that achievement just from some of the mountains you jump off. But the glide was good in some aspects, but like if you're ever trying to do long range with it, like it didn't feel like it was ever useful. It was just more there for like photo purposes.
I did take pictures.
I enjoyed it for if I was wanting to get down really fast. I was like, I'm a jump.
Yeah, it saves you the trouble having to re-climb down.
Yeah, I didn't die this way.
Yeah, and if you're like, oh, it's taking too long, hit circle, fall,
glide again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then at least once you had to like forget to hit the button and you just go. Pfft.
Oh, that was the first time I jumped off the Sunwing. I was gliding and then I got the achievement. I was like, yay, okay, I'm gonna fall the rest, and then I'll just glide at the end. And then I wasn't fast enough. I just murdered Aloy right after getting the achievement.
That's so funny.
Not on purpose.
Any other things you guys want to mention? I'm just trying to think of anything else that I'm forgetting right now.
I don't know, I just think it was such a fantastic game. There's things I would change a little bit story-wise, maybe the odd thing mechanics-wise, but overall, like, I loved it. I think if I stayed in and tried to get every single thing on the map, like really get 100% on it, I think I would have got burnt out. Like it would have happened. So I'm glad I stopped before that, and then I can just go back when I feel like doing a bit more. But like I did love the game. To me, it felt like the first game, with just like a couple things changed from the first one that I would like to change, and yeah, they gave me those things. There's still some other things, and hopefully the third game or some patches fix that. But I mean, I'm very happy with it, especially with the lore.
Yeah, you go and you read and you find all the things. Thank you. They put them there for a reason. They want you to find them.
Yes, they do. Yeah, and I read a lot. I've read more in that game than like the last 5 years of books. And I like to read.
Yeah, Death Stranding warmed me up to all of the reading. So
see, I haven't played that one yet, so that could be
that's a lot of reading.
Okay.
A lot of reading.
Like even the small things like the black boxes where you even just get like a little bit of like what it was like during like basically the fight till you die moments of the world. They really did a good job of like some of them were just like nothingness, but there were a couple of them where it's like, damn, like that's sad.
Yeah, those were sad. Hearing the recordings of them once you pick them up, oof.
It almost makes you wonder if we're gonna get to a point where there's videos.
Oh, ooh.
I don't know. Even probably stick to the hologram stuff.
I get the feeling that they're gonna stick to just audio format. I doubt you're gonna find like full on like video, and like it would be interesting if they did something similar to that where they found like really graded footage. But I think the holograms are gonna be most of it. But I do think it would have been really cool if you, especially in the first game, if you had found like old footage of what it was looking like in the early stages when things were starting to get conquered.
And you find like a cell phone and see someone's like Twitter.
Yeah, it's like some Cloverfield level shit.
Oh yeah.
I think that would be a cool way to do it, but I think now that we're already 2 games in, you kind of get the sense of it now. You get a pretty good idea of what it looks like.
Yeah. I think the black box and stuff worked because it's just like a little bit extra lore of like, it's not going to end well. This plane is clearly here, totaled, and it was clearly at the time when something really bad was happening. So sure, let's hear their last moments. It's going to be really bad, and it's not like it's adding anything to the story or anything. We already knew everything went to shit, but this just kind of gave you a window into some normal people who are like, I'll just fly somewhere. That'll make it okay.
Yeah, and then there's like the drones, which I don't feel like really served a good purpose because most of the views that it unlocks aren't really that extravagant. And they don't even stay. Like, you have to reactivate them if you want to see them every time you go back up to see Gaia. And you don't really go to see Gaia that often, so it's not really something you use a lot.
No, I did it once, and I was like, okay, I probably won't do that
Like,
again.
It would have been
really
cool.
But...
It would have been cool if they like did like specific views and like very, very specific set pieces. I know Liv earlier wanted to talk about Vegas. Like, it would have made sense if it was like right smack in the middle of all the lights. But that isn't one that you're given.
I won't talk too much about photo mode, but when I was in Vegas, I totally pretended Aloy went on vacation, and I went around to all the buildings and took pictures in front of all of them, like a tourist.
So somewhere on the internet, there's going to be a montage of all your pictures with Elvis Presley, Viva Las Vegas in the background.
All of Aloy, she saw all the sites. They're all on Instagram, Tumblr, wherever. Like, all of her, like, Aloy on vacation! And she's throwing up the peace signs, and there's the Eiffel Tower in the back. And then my favorite thing about Vegas was the hot air balloon. And I like that even despite it crashing, you got to go on it again for fun, and you could go on it as many times as you want.
Wait, was this an extra thing? I don't remember this hot air balloon.
Yeah, after you clear Vegas, you can go back and visit them, and there's a couple of missions.
Oh, okay. I don't think.
Yeah, so he's like, I
Boomer's
figured out
back
flight.
over there. There's Moreland with the balloon. Like, there's a few extra things in Vegas after.
So there's a hot air balloon, and then it crashes, and you're like, oh my god, this is so tragic. But then he figures it out, and then you could go, and he's like, this is gonna be a tourist spot, and then you could choose to go up in the day or the night. I only did the night, but I will go back because I love Moreland. I think he's so funny. And and I was just like, it took me forever to get all the way to the top of the tether because I was stopping. I was like, ooh, Aloy, stand, because you can move where she is in the hot air balloon. So I was like, okay, Aloy, go stand over there. Okay, turn around. Okay, now go back over there. Okay. And I just did that.
I do like
now it's photo mode. Done.
I do like that they took a lot of the locations that you visit and then put more stuff later as the game unlocks again. So it actually does show progression. Like, it isn't just you see Boomer and company at Chain Scrape and then that's it. That's the last time you ever see them. No, they show up later. You know, some of these characters will continue to come back. You know,
yeah, if
like,
you go and check on people, you'll get more out of it.
Yeah, I loved that too. Like, even when I went back to Vegas once, I saw that like Aaron or whatever was there, I think.
Yeah.
And he's now hanging out with them. I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, he would be in Vegas. That's where he'd be.
So there really was a bit of an attention to detail, and I appreciate that. Now, granted, was everything like rock solid? No, there's some hiccups here and there, but I think for the most part, like, the game did its job. Like, I guess unless anybody's got any final pointers, because I'll ask right now.
No.
All I could say, this is going to be my game of the year, probably. I can't see something topping this for me personally.
Yeah, I think it might be mine too. I can't think of another game that's coming out. I mean, God of War, I guess if it's like really, really, really good, but I kind of prefer the Horizon games over the God of War games. So they're like already a big advantage here.
It's probably going to be my game of the year, but that's also because I have to use only games that I play that came out in this year, and I don't usually play a lot of games that come out in the same year, so it might fall into that category just on that basis alone. I mean, if I had to give it a number, I honestly, like, I lean to an 8 only because, like, there's a lot of things that I can nitpick. Because, like, the story really needed to be better. I don't think they did remotely as good as they could have. I think there's a lot of little things, like, I think the combat definitely could still use some tweaks, because I think as soon as you get into close quarters, you're basically just mashing dodge or smack. Like, you're not doing too much else. I know that there's probably people out there that actually play it a lot more strategically, but generally speaking, most of us are going to operate the same way. As soon as you realize you're surrounded, you're like, all right, I'm either bolting out of here or I'm just going to take y'all with me. But, like, other than that, I just feel like the game is really, really good. It just didn't connect every, like, big suspenseful moment it did. Like, Thebes did what it was supposed to and then some. But for every Thebes, there was the end of the game minus Tilda, where I don't feel like I got the conclusion that I wanted specifically out of Far Zenith. I felt like they just faded away. Like, you got the Eric fight, but that was it. It was just done. Like, there wasn't really any closure, really. So I don't feel like they did the best job with that. Also, again, taking away the ability for you to overcome them, and, like, all you're doing is going off of whatever Silent was already doing. Like, it feels like you're less the main character and more like the supporting actor at times. So like I have a lot to complain about, but giving it an 8 out of 10 doesn't mean it's like not deserving of being a really good game and a game of the year. It just means for me like there's a lot to be desired. I agree with what Kaylan said earlier in that I do like Zero Dawn more. Although I don't know if that's because Zero Dawn is the better game or if it's that I wasn't nearly as A, burnt out on open world games, and B, like a lot more critical of this because it's not a first anymore. I'll obviously you'd be less critical with a game when it's a new IP because it's doing something different. Now I've seen it once, and now I'm looking for an evolution. And I feel like apart from graphically, I don't know if they necessarily evolved past what Zero Dawn is so much as they just like slightly tweaked it to improve it. I don't think they like took a major step forward. I think they took like a small shuffle forward.
I respect that. This game's probably a 9 something for me just because like I think as a franchise it's just so unique, and I every time I pick up a collectible I'm like, it's a crumb of the story and I want more and I'm gonna find more. And when I get New Game Plus mode, because I know they're gonna give it to me, they better give it to me. They gave it in the first game, it's gonna come in the second game. I'm gonna go and find everything else that I missed for no reward other than I want to.
That's a good reward.
Yeah, I did it in Control. There's no reward for getting all the collectibles, but I explored the shit out of that.
Yeah, I think I'm closer to a 9 out of 10. There's a possibility it's like maybe an 8.5, but I feel like it's closer to the 9 just because I have the small nitpicks. So I can't give it a 10. Like that's impossible because I have things that I would have changed. And I think that I'm the same with Live Here, where it's the lore. Like it's this story in this world, and I'm so into it. Even if some gameplay thing isn't great, the information and the date, like the stuff I'm just reading, where it's like what happened before Earth went to crap and then some stuff after, like I'm just so in the lore that I can't help it. I want to go back and I want to learn more about the world and how it started and everything. It's just so unique. It is.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're almost 2 hours in of gushing about this game, and I think it's finally time to call this. So, Liv, this has been, I believe, your 4th time on the show. You're almost like part of the family these days. I mean, you've technically been on more shows than Chris still. Actually, yeah. No, you guys are tied now, actually, because you've done 2 Cartridge and Quarters and now 2 Pixel Plays.
Oh, yeah, this is my 4th.
Yeah, so you're now all caught up. So on Saturday we'll get you finally up ahead, Chris. So you're finally all caught up.
Yeah.
Overachiever.
But even though it's been your 4th time here, if anybody hasn't listened to you before, where can they catch you one more time?
Well, thank you for having me. I've been so excited to talk about this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm one of the co-hosts for Between2Gamers with Fruy. He is dead asleep right now because he is in England as we are recording this in our time zone. But you can find Between2Gamers twice a week on Wednesdays and Fridays on the same feed. We do weekly shows. We've done stuff like top 10 lists, worst games we've ever played, and some fun stuff in between. That's every Wednesday. And we've recently launched a news and rumors only on Fridays. So we're on all major podcasting platforms, Between2Gamers, and I'm very happy that we've became friends and been going on each other's shows and stuff. I'm so glad that people have been just loving games just as much as I do.
Yeah, isn't it nice when it's not like what you normally see on like social media where just everybody hates everybody no matter what they think, you know?
I have lots of love to give my storied franchises, as you can see when Kaylan's like, the NPCs suck. And I was like, what? You don't like when they look at you and they touch their arm and they're like, oh, can you go save my child? No, I love it.
Well, see, I should have said it back then too, but I'm like, I watch anime all the time. Like, this is completely normal to me. I'm used to everybody just literally looking like they're about to fall over because they took a little bit too much of a swing at something, but...
Yeah. Yeah, this was toned down.
Yeah, this is nothing. But yeah, that's going to do it for the show. So anybody obviously watching, this is the Pixel Play podcast. So for myself and Kaylan, we'll see you guys for Wednesdays at noon. That goes posted. I don't know when specifically this show is going to go up. I'm kind of trying to figure out when I want to do it. It might be out, by the time it's out, it might be Tuesday. We're recording this on the Monday, so we'll see how this goes. It might be up on the weekend. I'm not really sure. It depends on when I can get this thing rendered and up. Otherwise, yep, Wednesdays at noon, Pixel Play podcast. And now Chris here who is with me on our retro podcast, Cartridge and Quarters. Those are every Saturday at 10, or in the case of last week at like 12:30 because I forgot to post it because, memory. But yeah, we have now 2 shows that we do. We have our main show on Wednesdays, our retro show on Saturdays. And then like this, once in a blue moon, we throw a bonus one just because we're like, hey, we've all finished Horizon except for Kaylan. And we really need to just get this all out of here because the last thing I need to do is go on Reddit and talk about it and then have everybody in the chat be like, this game sucks, you suck, why this game's racist, like just go on that kind of basis. So I'm happy that I was able to do with people that I actually enjoy the company of and can mostly talk about all the great things except for all the things that we nitpicked. Even it sounds like we actually didn't like a lot about this game, but in reality we all really loved it. So
that was not. Yeah. I said one thing that I didn't like.
That's true. You only had one.
Love everything. Keep going.
As long as every major Sony release looks as goddamn beautiful as Forbidden West is, I'm gonna have no complaints for the rest of the PS5 lifespan. That is for damn sure.
Yeah.
Sony PlayStation games do really well on Tinder, I bet. They look very good,
You're always swiping right. But yeah, that's going to do it for this bonus episode. I hope everybody enjoyed it here. We will obviously see you next time. So if you need to look at us, Linktree/PixelPlayPodcast. You can also look at us on PixelPlaycast on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to email us questions, there is pixelplaypodcast@gmail.com. Otherwise, I'm CSRadical, Jen and Chris here with me, and Liv from Between2Gamers. Thank you so much for checking out this Horizon spiel, this absolute just gush fest. And we'll see you next time when all we do is talk shit about Cyberpunk because that's what Kaylan hates. And he's not here to get mad at me for doing so. Goodbye.